Cow dung compost is an excellent source of nitrogen and other trace elements for plants, and making it at home is super easy. You can follow some easy steps and make cow dung compost at home. So let's know the whole method step by step, and do subscribe to our channel. First of all, there is a simple question that why we need to make cow dung compost at home. Cow dung is a useful fertilizer, but it's also harmful in raw form, and by composting the cow dung, we can convert it into a safe and an absorbable form. The excessive heat of nitrogen that is present in the fresh cow dung will be gone totally if we decompose it first, and that's why cow dung compost is more useful and safe. Another important thing for making cow dung compost at home is to know the right time for this. Basically, you can make it anytime you want, but for faster and better decomposition, a little warm season is best. The decomposing bacteria is most active in springs and summer days. In result, your compost will be ready soon. Overall, you can make cow dung compost whenever you like, but its best time is in springs and summers. The first step to make cow dung compost at home is to gather the cow dung cakes, that is its raw material. If you live in a city, you can find them in a dairy farm, and in villages, cow's poop is very easily available. You can dry it in the sun and then follow the further steps. Most of the market bought cow dung is like this, a little brownish in color. That is just the dried form of cow manure, it's not the composted form. So you can also use this to make the cow dung compost. The composted cow dung is dark in color, and you can see a clear difference in both types. So if you have the dried cow dung, make a compost out of it, and you can also subscribe to our channel. Another step of making cow dung compost at home is to prepare the composting bin. Any wide and porous container with the drainage holes at the bottom can be used for this purpose. You can also check out some of the composting bins from the description box link. You can also place another container below the spot which will collect the draining liquid. Another step of making cow dung compost is to add the microbes media at the base of the compost bin. The bacteria will be abundant at the base, so here we need to add some media for their feeding and reproduction. Simply place some pieces of paper and then add some compost or soil. Compost is rich in bacteria that will carry on the further decomposition. In the next step, now we need our main ingredient, that is cow dung cakes. It's better if you can crush them into smaller pieces. It will increase the surface area for the activity of bacteria. Keep adding the cow dung cakes or powder, whatever you have. You can also add some compost or soil after some cow dung. Then again add cow dung and then compost or soil. This way make multiple layers. Cover the whole material with soil afterwards. It will stop any bad smell of decomposition. Now you can water your composting material. Moisture is very important for a proper decomposition, so keep the material moist all the time. Whenever the top layer of soil dries, add some moisture. Keep this composting bin in a dark and warm area away from direct sunlight. After around a few weeks of decomposition, you will see your composting material is settling down. That means the bacteria have started its work. During this time, keep the material moist. You can see our cow dung cakes are turning dark. And if possible, keep the upper layer of soil loose by regular tilling. This will keep the gaseous exchange proper. In base container, you remember the pot we had? It is collecting the draining liquid. This draining liquid is full of nutrients. You should use this compost tea by diluting it with more water. It's best for house plants and foliage plants, etc. Detailed video on cow dung compost tea and its benefits is linked in the description box and I button if you like to know. After around 2 months, our compost is ready to use. Simply lose some of the material and see if it's fully decomposed or not. A ready to use compost won't have any cow dung smell. On the other hand, it will be earthy in smell with a loose texture and dark color. Now it's fully ready to be used for plants. You can collect this cow dung manure in a container and store it forever. Just keep it a little moist if possible. To apply cow dung compost on a potted plant, lose the upper layer of soil and let it dry. Now add a dose of cow dung compost on the soil and mix it properly. The dose for a 5 to 6 inches of pot is around a handful twice a month, and for a bigger container you can increase the dose respectively. Water the soil well after fertilizing. Don't use too much of cow dung compost in summer's heat and on a recently reported plant. And to learn about the do and don'ts of cow dung fertilizer in details, follow the video added in the description box and I button and subscribe to our channel. You can use cow dung compost on almost all type of plants, like for flowering plants, vegetables, house plants, etc. on any plant that produces leaves, as it's best for green foliage. Try to avoid using on seedlings, and for succulents and cacti, yes, it can be used but use less, and it's better if you use this fertilizer. It's made specially for cacti and succulents. Video on this fertilizer is linked in the description box. So it's all about making cow dung compost at home. Another safe and usable nitrogen enriched fertilizer is blood meal that you don't have to decompose first. Here is a detailed video on blood meal fertilizer and its benefits. Must check it out and subscribe to our channel.